Thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Carrie Prudhomme. Carrie is a med tech. She has worked at MD Anderson Cancer Center for a total of 33 years. She's worked all 3 shifts with hematology and chemistry as the primary areas, and she is currently the supervisor over their high volume hematology, manual hematology, arterial blood gases, and works with MD Anderson's CLS program. Her topic today is going beyond a better box, innovative uses of technology to drive lab services. So please welcome Carrie.
Thank you. This is our, well, it doesn't point. This is our part of our newest line. We just, last January, February, we put in two Sysmex 9000s, XN 9000s. And for us, the first surprise was you didn't have to go to Mundelein to train. We had, which if you think about it, I don't know how many of you have ever done the VILT. It was great. We had 6 people in a conference room, and we were able to ask questions. We were interacting with other vendors, with other labs. We could ask questions back and forth. We could go out to our analyzers and look at it and see. My young techs thought this was the coolest thing on the face of the earth. But what I liked the best was, like I said, we had 6 in one class. Normally you send 1 or 2 people to learn to come home to talk to you, where this way you could interact with them. We also did this, we had a couple of more people that went through the VILT, and they said the same thing. This was great. I liked it even better than going to class because I could go back out and do something with my analyzer and then go back and ask questions concerning what I'd done with my analyzer. The other big change we got was we got the RU unit. And I was telling Kim, I wish I had taken a picture of how many. We used to get 2 full pallets for our XC5000. We had a 403. And now we get 1 small pallet that we can put all of it into a rolling storeroom. Where my 2 pallets sit is a brand new -70 freezer. And it's just, we love it. The techs are like, where are the big kegs? Where are the big kegs? It's like, we don't have the big kegs. So it really has been fun getting to know water. And you know, you think of water, you think of chemistry, not hematology, but it is, if you haven't done it, it's fun. Do it. It's great. My Sysmex. This, I think, was one of the best toys. I call it a toy because I love iPads. My techs, though, they're, you know, most of your, I don't know, your client, your techs, our techs are becoming a younger generation. So the internet, the iPads, that kind of thing is very, you know, they're used to it. One of the things that was, I keep myself logged in all the time. They told me I had to log in, make sure that I was logged in while I was up here, so they could, if they needed assistance, if they wanted to check something, they would go in and do it. And we do this. And this is around the corner, both the VILT, they have a demonstration of VILT around the corner, and also the My Sysmex. It also gives us all the XCs, and I still have an XC. I have an XC5000 in one lab, and then 6 XNs and 2 SPs and 1 SP 1000. I also get to see some of the other labs that are not necessarily under me, but when they have a question, I can get in, I can check on them also. So this is what we have. We have S&CS, I don't know about you, but sometimes our network services has problems where I can go over and check right away, am I having an S&CS problem? Can you log in to do a calibration? Actually, they're doing calibrations this week while I'm not here. Inside QC, one thing that with the XNs, it automatically loads to your QC Insight, so you're not having to send it in like we used to, like we still do across the hall, across the street. I have to keep a calendar for that supervisor to say, oh, or that tech, did you upload? And she's like, you're not sending it to everyone else. And I said, I don't have to. It automatically uploads. I love it. But we can go in and check. Instead of going to pulling up each individual at my desk, I can do it at the My Sysmex. And that's so nice to be able to sit in one lab and being able to monitor instead of waiting for the monitoring period to happen, and you send it in and then you have to wait the week or so and then you get your peer back, where this way I can tell if we're having an instrument issue or a QC issue within a matter of a couple of days. And then of course error messages and activity messages that occur. Service visits, this has become nice that if I miss an email, I can go here and then I can actually have it sent back to me. One of my techs, she's one of my young ones. I was on vacation in June. I came back and she said, I hope you don't mind, but I contacted TAC because I hate the phone. And I used my Sysmex. And I went, I love that. How did it work? And she said, it was great. I typed it in. I told them what I wanted. And within 30 minutes, they called me back and it was great. I'm like, awesome. I use it a lot for the order tracking because then it allows me to see where my order is, where, without always checking my email. We've used it I said they're doing calibration this week while I'm gone. Field service reports, we get the same thing, inside exceptions, the inside QC reports, maintenance logs. It's just become, like I said, it's been fun. Being able to pull it up here versus going back to my computer and pulling it up. We're going through a cap, we're in our cap year, and so one of the things that I'm going to talk with them about is not printing everything. Can I leave it here because Sysmex holds it for 2 years? And if I can get a yes from them, then I'm going to put my QC books away and say goodbye. Because then I can make a comment on this and not have to print paper. We all know how many books you have that are full of paper. And every 2 years you throw them away and you start over with new ones. Like I said, I can look at all my labs instead of, especially that little XC I have over a half a mile from me. I can go in here and check what's happening with it. When did service last come out? When is the next calibration due? What is going on with when they've uploaded their for Insight, and not have to leave the lab. Of course, the maintenance reports, field service reports, and say access to tracking. That's always fun, knowing where your order is. And so it allows us, like it says, to stay in touch with all analyzers in all labs. It's just become a really neat tool. Before we got it, I was asking about your Sysmex's, binders and the maintenance books and the how to do book, because we had to build our new procedures and that kind of thing. And they said, well, you can get them out of the box. And I said, well, I really want a flash drive because my ABG analyzer gave me a flash drive. And then they said, well, so we got the My Sysmex, and now we use the My Sysmex to double check if we want to look. We can look at it on the IPU, but we can also look at it on the My Sysmex. Now, the one thing we haven't had a chance to play with, thank you, knock on wood, brand new analyzer still, is to take it off and to take a picture of it at the Q code and then have it show us what is wrong with the analyzer. I'm hoping that we won't have to do that for a while. I know it kind of. Any questions?
For Carrie? As she said, we do have my Sysmex here. It's right around on the other side of the pillar if anybody wants to come and play with it.
7 minutes. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's, if you haven't done Vilt, try. I mean, really, we were kind of, I've been to Mundelein many times, gone up for many trainings, but at one point, and I think too, when you go to school, you're in a small class, and we had, I think, 6 other hospitals that were in our class, 5 or 6 hospitals. Some of them only had 2 or 3 people in the class, but we were talking to each other in a chat. At one point, Sue, who was one of the monitors, she said, you know what, I'm going to let y'all chat for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back to the class. And we were answering each other's questions and talking to each other, that it created a community when we were, hundreds and probably thousands of miles apart from each other. And it was very, you felt like you were in the classroom when they were, up on the screen. We did ours like in a conference room and picked one of the young kids to do my typing. And it was an all new experience, and as soon as we can get through with CAP, I've already said we're going to send a few more people, pull them up for a week and let them go through Vilt also. Actually, I would train that if, instead of going before your TIS comes, I would go after the TIS comes, because our problem was the instruments came in and they hadn't been set up yet, and we were just looking at them, and we'd gone through the online training, and then we went through Vilt, and the first day we stood there going, who wants to be brave to hit the button? And we were all like, I don't want to hit the button. And it was like, oh, be brave, you hit the button. So we go over, hit the button, nothing happened, and we're like, oh. So it's like, maybe we didn't hit it hard enough. So we hit the button again, and all the bells and whistles came on. We're like, oh, okay. So the group that we did it both ways. We had a group that went after the TIS was there, and in talking with them, we felt like they got maybe a little bit more out of it than we did, simply because they were a little more comfortable with the analyzer than we were. Which is what she's got, yes.
Yeah, come and play with it.
And it locks. So if you're worried about it moving, it actually physically locks on the set. And as from the first picture of our line, it sits right between, we put it right between our first analyzer and our second analyzer, so that people will walk by and never notice it. So it's not like it's real visible unless you hang a sign that says, here's my iPad. But it physically, and I don't tell but a few people where the key is, so no one really knows where they'll say, we want to unlock it, and I'll go unlock it, and then I'll let someone use it. But for the most part, we keep it locked up. And as I said, they flat said before I walked out the door last week, you will log in, right? So my techs use it a lot. They've really enjoyed it.
Any other questions for Carrie?
No, it doesn't come as part of the XN. You have to get that separately, yeah. But it's worth it. It's worth it.